Let's continue going over the 73rd faction out of the 73, which is the faction of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. We're still listing the convictions of the Sunnis. And following what our author Abul Muzaffar al-Isfarayini, may Allah have mercy upon him, has for us in his famous book here at Tafsiru fi Din. He says that amongst the conviction of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah is that you know that he, the glorified and exalted, it is not possible that he have a deficiency or an imperfection, because imperfection is a type of prevention, and prevention dictates a preventer and a prevented one. Prevention dictates a preventer and a prevented. And there is no preventer over the glorified and exalted Creator. And this meaning of not having imperfections or deficiencies is in the saying of God Almighty, هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. It means He is Allah, the one that there is no God but He. Al-Malik. Al-Malik means, very literally means the king. That would be with a capital K and without any meaning of something that doesn't befit Allah Ta'ala. It means the sovereign, as someone might say. That means the one who has dominion. All of the creation is His dominion. That's Al-Malik. Al-Quddus, I don't really know how to translate that, but it might be something close to the Holy One or the Pure One. As-Salam, it means the Perfect One. We're going to explain how. As-Salam doesn't mean peace. Some people say one of the names of Allah is peace. As-Salam, no. His name is As-Salam. These are names of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And they have meanings of perfection. Here, As-Salam means the perfect one. We'll see how. And Al-Mu'min, one of the names of Allah, Al-Mu'min, the scholars had different sayings about what that means, because the root letters Hamza, Mim, Noon, they have several meanings. Some people might translate this as the believer. They say Allah is the believer. But Al-Mu'min could mean, for example, the one who grants safety. Or other meanings. So that's what some people might say if they don't have a very strong possession of Arabic. Well, I only know what we know because the scholars said so, not because I have a strong possession of Arabic. But if someone doesn't, then he would say, As-Salam, first thing that comes to his mind is peace. Al-Mu'min, first thing that comes to his mind, the believer. And like that, he'll translate the names of Allah Ta'ala without really knowledge. These names of Allah Ta'ala, don't rush to their translations. These are His names. So You could take someone's name, but if you translate it, that's not his name. MashaAllah. Al-Muhaymin. Now I'm not recalling the meaning of Al-Muhaymin. Al-Aziz. Al-Aziz could mean the one who has no similar. Aziz could literally mean in Arabic rare. Could be for Allah who has no similar. Could be for Allah, the undefeated one. The mighty undefeated one. The undefeated defeater. Al-Ghalib alladhi la yughlab. Al-Aziz. And Al-Jabbar also can be explained in different ways. Yani, these names of Allah Ta'ala are like the verses of the Quran. I mean by that. Don't you know how there would be an ayah and some scholars would say this ayah means like this, and some would say it means like this, and some would say it means like this. That's how the names of Allah are. So if you want to know the names of Allah and understand them, what you do is memorize them, memorize their wordings, and then learn what the scholars explained, how the scholars explain those names. Don't seek a translation for each word. This name means the such and such, one word. This name means the such and such, one word. Not like this. Rather, his name is his name in Arabic, and those names have meanings. And you learn the meanings of those names, and you keep them in Arabic. So, Al-Jabbar, some said it means the one who fixes the affairs of his slaves. Some said other things. Now, I don't want to go far and try to pull out everything that I can here, because we have a lot of information to cover. And that's not the point here. Al-Mutakabbir, one should not dare to translate that as the arrogant. Al-Mutakabbir. For a human being, if you called him Mutakabbir, it means he's arrogant. Al-Mutakabbir for Allah means the one who is great and has a high status. And like that. And other meanings that go with that also. Insha'Allah ta'ala, we'll go over the names of Allah. We haven't done that. We should. Subhanallahi amma yushrikun. All of those names of Allah were mentioned in the Quran, in this ayah of the Quran, the 23rd ayah of Surah Al-Hashr. And the end of this ayah here is, glory be to Allah. He is glorified from imperfection and resemblance. He is glorified and exalted from what they associate with Him. From the creations and the partners that they associate with Allah Ta'ala. The partners and the likenesses and the creations and the unbefitting attributes. He is glorified from all of that. So that was my quick breakdown for you from what's in the ayah that the author presented here. But then he goes on to elaborate some more. So he says, As-Salam, this name of Allah means the one who is sound from defect. Because these letters, Sin, Lam, Mim, they have the meaning of soundness, like Salim. If something is Salim, like Al-Aqlu Salim, sound mind. So these letters have the meaning of soundness. For Allah Ta'ala, that means what? Perfection. So As-Salam is one of the names of Allah that indicate His attribute of perfection. Allah Ta'ala has an attribute called Al-Kamal, perfection. That's what the author is talking about here in this paragraph. He has an attribute called Al-Kamal, perfection. And it's also called Al-Azama, greatness. That's his attribute of perfection. And it's also called Al-Ilahiyya, godhood. That's his attribute of perfection. And it's also called Al-Ulu, highness. His highness. That's his attribute of perfection. Not high in a place, high in status, or perfect. And this attribute has other names also. The attribute has other names. And Allah has names that indicate this attribute. Several of them, like As-Salam and Al-Quddus. It means the one who is exalted from deficiencies. And other names of his have that meaning. That's one of the eternal, everlasting attributes of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And so, it is known from these descriptions of Allah Ta'ala that there is no way to confirm for him imperfections and deficiencies. And also that you know that it is not valid or possible to attribute to Allah kayfiyah. That means mode or having a way. There's no way about Allah or how about him or manner of being. He has no manner about him or way about him. That's kayfiyah, the howness. He has no how. How, kayf, it doesn't apply to Allah. So how literally is a question about something created. How is literally a question about something created specifically. So you cannot ask it about Allah Ta'ala. It doesn't apply. Because the answer to how would only be something that doesn't befit Allah. The answer to how would only be something created. But some people might say, we don't know how Allah is, and they mean we don't know his reality. So if someone speaks like that, then that's due to a lack of learning the way of the scholars of Aqidah. They don't say how about Allah or kayf. Yani, in other words, would you possibly find some Sunni scholars who use the word kayf for Allah? Yes. So how do you explain that? You explain that they meant by that the reality. They meant when they used kayf, how, for Allah, reality. And we say, though, that it should not be used for that. And it should not be said, how is he? Also, it's not valid to attribute to Allah quantity, al-kamiyah, al-kamiyah. You can pronounce that word with a shadda on the meme and say kamiyah, or without and then say kamiyah. But originally there's no shadda there. Kam, how much? So you cannot say about Allah how much. It doesn't apply. Like that doesn't apply to Allah. How doesn't apply to Allah Ta'ala. So there's no kayf, how. There's no kam, how much. There's no whereabouts, where. Because whoever has no similar, then there's no way to say about him, how is he? And whoever has no number, then it's not valid to say about him, how many? And whoever has no beginning, then it's not valid to say about him, when was he? Or from what is he? From what? Mimma can. who has no beginning, you cannot say about him, from what is he? What is he from? And whoever has no place, then you cannot say, where was he? And we have mentioned proofs from the book of Allah Ta'ala already that prove the oneness of God and that he has no similar, and that negate the place and the direction, and that negate having a beginning or a start. It was reported about Imam Ali that he was asked, which direction is the face of Allah? Now, firstly, we know that Allah doesn't have body parts, but he was asked something that might be translated like that. Ma jihatu wajhillah. But the question in Arabic could mean, possibly, what is Allah's direction? So it could be someone's asking him, what is his direction, which is wrong. And it could be someone's asking him, what direction is his face, or what direction does he face? So whatever that question might mean, what did Imam Ali do? He had a candle brought, and he lit the candle, and he said, which direction is the front? So the person said, there is no direction for this that is the front. So Ali said, then what is the question? What's the point of the question? This is something that was related about him, and it means, if it's possible, if you can conceive amongst the creation something that doesn't have a front or a back, in particular, no direction of it in particular is its front, and no direction of it in particular is its back. If something like that could be found in creation and that's valid, then why would you think that the Creator has a front and a back? Why would you think that the Creator has a limit by a direction? And know that Allah Ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Ikhlas what includes confirming all of the attributes of praise and all the attributes of perfection, and he negated in that surah all of the imperfections from himself. And that is that he said, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ. Allahu Ahad, the one who has no partner. That means the one who has no similar, no partner, no body or part or piece. All of that is included in the meaning. This surah signals to what is impossible to be attributed to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. In fact, all of the meanings that we are talking about are found in the very brief statement, Allahu Samad. Allahu Samad. Because as-Samad in the language of the Arabs has two meanings. One is what has no inside. What has no inside. Ma la jawfa lah. Or what has no inside. So then, if Allah has no inside, if as-Samad for Allah means the one without an inside, then for him that means the one who has no body altogether. He has no form and no shape. So then he wouldn't be a body or a particle or an atom or a molecule. The second meaning of as-Samad in the Arabic language is the Sayyid, the master who is resorted to in the times of need. Meaning, even from amongst the creations. This name, Samad, is not haram to use for a creation. For a creation, the Samad is the master that the people go to when they need things. So for Allah, then what does as-samad mean? As-samad for Allah Ta'ala means the one that everything needs him and he does not need anything. And this includes confirming every attribute without which there would not be any creating. Every attribute that must be confirmed because God is the creator, because there's a creation that exists and therefore there must be a creator, meaning a creation exists, so there must be a doer. Something was done. What was done? All this creation is a doing of Allah. So something was done. If something was done, then there must be a doing. If there was a doing, there must be a doer. So, if Allah is the one that everything needs him and he doesn't need anything, then he must be a doer. Isn't it? He has to be a doer. So this name of Allah as-Samad proves so much. Because to confirm that he is a doer, a creator, then we need to confirm many things like what? Like existence and power and life and knowledge and will and choice. His choice is the eternal choice, though, which is his will. And other meanings and other attributes of befitting perfection. Because if it's not valid that Allah could create anything possible, then it wouldn't be valid that he be the one that all creations resort to with their various needs. So he must then be a doer of various doings, since there's various creations with various needs all resorting to him. And in this surah, Al-Ikhlas, Allah Ta'ala mentioned both confirmation and negation. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. He is Allah, one, without a partner. That's a negation. Allahu samad, the one who doesn't need anything. That's a negation, but also there's in there inwardly confirmation also, because he has power, has confirmed attributes by which he fulfills the needs. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He was not born and he did not give birth. Or it's the other way. He did not give birth and he was not born. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. And there was never anyone similar to him. And that you know that the maker of the world is alive and powerful and knowledgeable and willing and a speaker and a hearer and a seer. Why did I say it that way? Because these are all adjectives, not verbs, adjectives. So these adjectives are confirmed for Allah in Arabic, of course. He's Hayy. Hayy means alive. You could say living if you want, but not as a verb. And he's Qadir, powerful. That's an adjective, not a verb. And he's willing, but I mean by that a willer, one who wills. not a verb. I don't mean a verb here. I don't mean a verb in any of these instances at this point we're talking about here. And he's a hearer and a seer. And he's a speaker. Because whoever doesn't have these descriptions, so I'm going to use the word here, description. I could use the word attribute, but let's use here the word description. So because whoever doesn't have these descriptions, then he would be attributed with the opposites of these meanings here. So you should know that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He has the attributes that confirm that He is alive. Because He acts. Yani, we saw that we are existing and this is a creation. So there must have been someone who made it. Then He must have power. That's the mental judgment. If He has power to create, then He must be what? Alive. Then if He's alive, then there are some meanings that go with being alive. Because being alive has a meaning. What's the difference between being alive and being inanimate, being something devoid of life altogether? The difference is that when you talk about life, there would be meanings that go along with it that don't apply to what is inanimate. Like what? Like seeing or not seeing. Someone might say, well, the rock doesn't see and the rock is not alive. That's true. The rock does not see. But also, the rock is not blind. The rock does not see. That's true. But also, the rock is not blind. So then, if the rock doesn't see and it's not blind, then how does that work? Because it's not alive. There's something before that. There's a premise. There's something that's based on, which is life. So it's true that the rock doesn't see. That's because it's not alive. And if it were alive, then someone might say, well, if it were alive, it might still not see. But then it would be blind. So if it were alive and it's not seeing, then it would be blind because it's alive. So the rock is not blind and it's not seeing. So He's alive, then He also has other attributes of perfection for Him that He must have, like hearing and sight, because He's alive. So if He's alive, then He's seeing or He's not seeing. If He's not seeing and He's alive, then He'd be blind. That's impossible. If He's alive, then He's hearing or not hearing. And if He's not hearing, then He's deaf, and that's impossible. And if He's alive, then He's speaking or not speaking. If He's not speaking, then He's mute or dumb. And that's impossible. So we confirm for Him the attributes of befitting perfection. We confirm for Allah the attribute, and we confirm the descriptive name, the adjective or the description that goes along with that attribute. So you must know that the maker of the world is alive. In particular, that's the word we want to use here, not the verb, the adjective. And powerful and knowledgeable and willing as an adjective, or a willer and a speaker and a hearer and a seer. Because whoever doesn't have these attributes would be attributed with their opposites. And their opposites are deficiencies, and deficiency is impossible to be an attribute of Allah. Had Allah Ta'ala had such deficiencies, then he would not have done anything because he wouldn't have been the creator. Had he had such deficiencies, he wouldn't have created anything. So, all of these descriptions we just talked about, we know them because Allah did something, which is he created. And we know them because he must be clear of imperfections. And the Quran has come with these proofs, the proofs for all of what we are saying. And all of what we are saying right now is covered in the 99 names of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And those names are distributed throughout the Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. He is Al-Hayy, the alive, and Al-Qayyum, which has many meanings. God. Al-Qayyum is God, and it has many meanings. This name is only for Allah. Yani, I'm saying that because, I said he's God. Because Al-Qayyum means, what are the different meanings for Al-Qayyum? Means the one with confirmed existence, the one with eternal existence, the one who manages the creations, the one who does not need anything. All of those meanings are in Al-Qayyum. So that's why I said Al-Qayyum is God, and it has many meanings. And also Allah said, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى الْحَيِّ الَّذِي لَا يَمُوتُ. Rely on the alive who doesn't die. And Allah said, قُلْ هُوَ الْقَادِرُ. Say, He is the powerful. And He said, وَهُوَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٌ. And He is of everything knowledgeable. But what I'd like to do is stop here, and I want to start this paragraph from the top next week, because this paragraph is going to go on a little bit more, and then it's going to connect directly to the next paragraph afterwards, and I would like to not break them apart. So why don't we stop here for now, and then we'll start from the top of this paragraph talking about him, that he's alive and powerful and knowledgeable and a willer and a speaker and a hearer and a seer. And then we'll keep flowing from there, inshallah. So we'll stop there, and if you have any question I can answer for you, I'll be